With less than 3 weeks until the midterms, President Trump wants to make immigration a major issue for Republicans on the campaign trail. He's talked about bringing back his controversial family separation policy, and in a tweet this morning, he wrote, "Republicans must make the horrendous, weak, and outdated immigration laws and the border a part of the midterms." He also claims having more Republicans in Congress will help with the wall.
We need more Republicans, and we will win everything. We're getting the wall. We've already started building it. We're getting everything, but we are winning on so many different fronts, but we do need more Republicans.
Joining me now is Chris Cadelago. He's a White House reporter for Politico. Chris, thank you for your time today. The president seems to think immigration is a winning midterm closing argument. He tweeted about it several times in the past 2 days. Do Republican members of Congress agree with the president on this one?
I think they're due. Polling in a lot of these key states for the Senate as well as the House over the last couple days, polling that's been reviewed by the White House has shown that this is an issue that really motivates the Republican base. This is something we saw the president talking about going all the way back to April and well before that, but certainly in his stump speech for this midterm election. You will remember when he was using terms like animals to describe the MS-13 gang members. This is very much a return to that line, and he's making the case to his supporters that he is working on getting wall funding, that he is working on building the wall, and part of that is to motivate them and also sort of assure them that this is something he'll continue to focus on.
And Chris, the president continues to say Democrats won't approve legislation. But remind us again, not all Republicans were on board with his supported plan either, right?
Not all Republicans were. He has gotten some funding for the start of this, we know, in San Diego. But the idea that Democrats in control of the House would get on board with this versus a Republican-controlled House is really what is motivating him to continue to talk about it and continue to tell his supporters that if we do lose the House, there would be much less of a chance of getting cooperation on wall funding.
And Chris, speaking of the midterms, in a new Associated Press interview, the president was asked if he feels he will bear some responsibility if Republicans lose the House. He said no, not surprisingly somehow. But you recently wrote that Trump's midterm pitch is vote for me. So can he have it both ways?
I think the reason he would say that he could is because if you were to extend his thought, and I know he had sort of a limited comment on, sort of a curtailed comment on why it wouldn't be his fault, what he would then go on to say, according to his aides and advisors, is that the reason he shouldn't be blamed is because he basically did everything he could do, that he's raised 80% of the money that he's taken in to save the House, that he's gone out and hit the road on campaign-style rallies at a much faster clip than his predecessors, George W. Bush and Barack Obama, and basically that even though he's personalized the midterms and made them a referendum on himself, that's a way to turn out voters, but that the reason he doesn't think he should be to blame is because he's gone all out and gone to the mat and left nothing in the tank, in the words of his advisors.
He can only do so much for these people. They have to take it the rest of the way. All right. So in that same interview, the president was also asked about his tweet yesterday in which he called Stormy Daniels horseface and whether that was appropriate to call a woman that. He said, "You can take it any way you want." Now, we know he's facing falling support among women. Is this tactic a concern for the White House ahead of the midterms, or are all bets off?
I think all bets are off. I think that this was already a concern area for Republicans in the midterms. I don't know that this one particular comment is going to put folks over the edge. If you go back to the 2016 campaign, there was, you remember the Rolling Stone article where he was watching Carly Fiorina, his opponent at the time, on TV and saying, "Look at that face." He's made all kinds of related comments over the years. So I don't know that this one particular comment about Stormy Daniels is going to put any particular voters over the edge. But the idea that, you know, primarily, or in particular, suburban women have been turned off by this sort of rhetoric has started in being baked into the election.
Yeah. All right. Now, Chris, the president also accused his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, of lying under oath when he said that Trump directed him to commit a crime. He also said Cohen was a PR person. So have the president's efforts to rewrite the narrative helped, or could they be problematic for him down the road?
I think all of these things could be problematic depending on what Michael Cohen chooses to say. I mean, the idea that he would minimize someone who has turned on him or is in any sort of legal trouble is, again, not surprising. We saw that he had certainly minimized the role of Paul Manafort in his who was the campaign chairman, to say that he, might have helped around the edges. He was basically central to his strategy at the 2016 RNC. So that idea that he would then sort of minimize him and talk about him as a PR person versus a lawyer. We know that Trump has had many, many lawyers over the years, and Michael Cohen was certainly close with him for a long time. So I don't know who this is convincing.
All right, Chris Cadelago, thank you so much.
Thank you.